You're welcome once again. Today we are looking at something on angles. Okay. Now the question goes this way. It says in the diagram below, line AC is parallel to line DF. So we see the line AC here, and we see line DF. These are parallel lines, and they have the same direction as well. Angle CBY is 40 degrees. So mostly the angle is formed on the letter in the middle here. The middle one was B. So 40 degrees, okay? And angle DEX, hopefully going to be on E, is also 140 degrees. So we are asked to find the value of X and Y. Now, when you are posed with a question of this nature, you should be familiar with the types of angles, okay? So if you are asked to give out the types of angles, you should be a bit circumspect as in its classification. So today we are just going to look about two types of the angle, and that will help us to meticulously solve our question here in a very simple way. We shall look at the first one from alternate angle. Now, what are alternate angles? These are angles that are formed when two parallel lines, okay, are being cut by a transversal. So, for example, this is a parallel line. This is also another parallel line. If I draw a line to cross this is called a transversal. Okay. Now, when you get the angle formed at the opposite side of the transversal are called alternate angles, and alternate angles are equal. So if you get two angles at the opposite side, these are the same angles and they are equal. So if I have here to be 20 degrees, here will also be what? 20 degrees. Why? Because they are alternate angles. And there's one trivial thing about alternate angles. They are having the Z shape, the Z shape, if you can see it very well. So if you get questions on angles and you spot a particular Z shape, the angles at the opposite ends there are equal. They are alternate angles, okay? So they can come with this way. The angles here is the same as the angles here. It can also be laterally inverted. It can also come this way. The angle here is the same as the angle here. You can also see them this way. The one here is the same as the one here, okay? And the opposite of that. So that is alternate angle. Now, the second one is a co-interior angle. Co-interior angle is also known as consecutive interior angle or same side interior angle. So, as the name implies, same side. So, these are angles that is formed on the same side of a transversal line. Okay. So, if you have a transversal line this way, you can get two angles that are being formed on the same line. Two angles formed on the same line, and those two angles are massed to or sum up to 180 degrees. So co-interior angles sum up to what? 180 degrees. So you can have this angle and this angle forming on the same line, not on different lines. Two angles on the same line. So if I have 100 degrees, we said co-interior angles sum up to 180. So if I have 100 degrees, what do you think here will be? Surely 80, because they're supposed to sum up to 180 degrees. Good. Now, if you have all these ideas, I think we can now look at our question here and solve it in a very, very simple way. Okay. Now, let's come back to our question here. So, if you are posed with this question, you first of all think of an imaginary line. So, create an imaginary line. And the imaginary line should come this way. An imaginary line. Okay. So, assuming that the shape of this was this way, the imaginary line would have been from this side. Okay. Now, after creating the imaginary line, just name them. This, you can call this side G, okay? You can call this side H. You can call this side I. So you can see that we have partitioned the X. We have splitted the X. So we have two sides here. So you can give them names. So you can call this side H. You can call this side I. Okay. Now let's look at the next step. If you look at this new shape critically, you can see or you can spot a particular Z shape, a laterally inverted Z shape. So let's look at this way. You see there is a Z shape here. Okay, that is to tell us that this angle is the same as this angle. So the 40 here is the same as the H here, right? So we are saying that the angle CBY is equal to 40 degrees. That's what we said earlier. So if that is the case, then that means this angle is the same as this. So what's the name of this angle? BHJ. Okay, we have splitted the x, so we are looking at the one up here. So angle CBY is equal to angle BHG. This side, the H, this side. So if this is 40, then that means our angle BHG is also what? 40 degrees. So we now know this side also to be what? 40 degrees. Now we are left with I. How can we find I? We said that co-interior angles are formed on the same line. Okay, so you see that this is one line here. We see 140 degrees on this. We also see I on this. And we are saying that the co-interior angle, they sum up to 180 degrees. Right? Good. So that means that we can add this to this side. This is also another angle on the same line and equate it by 180 degrees. So let's look at the names of these angles. Okay, this angle is DEI. It's no more x, it's I because we have splitted the x. So we can say angle DEI plus angle EIG. EIG should be equal to 180 degrees because co-interior angles sum up to 180 degrees. So DEI here, DEI was 140 degrees plus angle EIG equals to 180 degrees. So we are looking for this angle EIG. Okay, so you find the inverse of it. So we have angle EIG equals 180. The inverse becomes minus 40, 140 degrees. So angle EIG equals 180 minus 140 will give us 40 degrees. So that means that this side is also what? 40 degrees. I believe it's clear. Now, x is the entire of this side. X is the entire of this side. So to get the x, we have to add this to this. And this angle was called BHG. And this angle was called EIG. So that means we are adding BHG to EIG. So to find our x equals angle BHG plus angle EIG. Angle BHG was 40 degrees. EIG was also 40 degrees. So that means that our x is equal to 80 degrees. We know x. We are now left with y. Okay. There is a property in angles. Okay. That also stipulates that angles at a point or angles around the point sum up to what? 360 degrees. So we have our point here. We have an angle here and an angle here. So these angles are around what? A point. So that means this and this is supposed to sum up to 360 degrees. So that is to say x plus y equals to 360 degrees. We are fortunate we know our x. Our x is 80 degrees here. Plus y equals 360 degrees. Right? So to find our y, we have to find the inverse of this. So you're going to have y equals 360 degrees minus 80 degrees. So y equals 360 minus 8 will give us 280 degrees. And that is the answer for it. Very simple. Have a nice day.